Welcome, listeners, to a brand new tale that plunges you into the depths of mystery and wonder. Tonight, we set sail on a chilling odyssey, one that unfolds through stormy seas, shadowy revelations, and the thin line between reality and madness. This marks the beginning of an extraordinary new story, and we're thrilled to have you aboard for the journey. If you're captivated by gripping narratives and haunting short stories, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Every like fuels our creativity, every comment deepens the discussion, and every subscription ensures you won't miss the next twist in the tale. Now anchor your imagination and prepare to descend into the depths of the abyss stirs. This is where it all begins. Part 1. The tempest begins. The Deepwater Abyss groaned under the fury of the storm, the relentless wind screaming like a living entity. Sheets of rain lashed against the deck, cascading over the sides like waterfalls. The emergency lights cast eerie glows on the faces of the crew, their expressions a grim mixture of determination and fear. The scientists clutched their equipment as the ship pitched violently with each wave. Beneath their feet, the vessel's hull creaked ominously, a sound that resonated with the unease in every heart. In the meeting room below deck, a tense discussion raged. Captain Elias Warren, his weathered face marked by worry, stood at the head of the table, his commanding presence undeniable. His storm-drenched coat dripped onto the floor as he pointed at a map spread across the table, illuminated by the dim, flickering light. "We press on," he said, his voice firm despite the cacophony outside. "We're too close to turn back now." The room was cramped, the air thick with the scent of salt water and damp clothing. Dr. Margaret Bellamy sat to the captain's left, her notebook half closed, a pen poised in her trembling hand. She locked eyes with the others, her voice steady but edged with tension. "Captain, I understand the stakes, but this storm is tearing us apart. We risk losing the entire vessel and everyone on board if we continue." Dr. Grant Harker leaned forward, his eyes glued to a sonar report that jittered on the screen beside him. "You've seen the readings, Margaret. This isn't just an anomaly. It's unprecedented. If we stop now, we may never get another chance to gather this data." Sophia Rhodes, the ship's navigator, stood by the porthole, her arms crossed tightly as she stared at the storm through rain-streaked glass. "Grant's right," she said, her voice softer but no less determined. "We came here to make history. It's not just about data. It's about discovery." At the back of the room, Detective Alan Marsh, a quiet but imposing figure, observed the exchange. His trench coat, a reminder of his purpose aboard the ship, clung damply to his broad frame. "Discovery isn't worth lives," he interjected, his voice low but cutting through the din like a knife. "And don't tell me we haven't already lost someone. What happened to Conrad wasn't an accident." A hush fell over the room. The mention of Conrad Dane, the chief engineer now confined to the infirmary after his sudden mental breakdown, hung heavy in the air. Captain Warren broke the silence. "This mission isn't just about discovery, Marsh. We were commissioned for this, funded for this. If we fail, we answer to more than just ourselves." "That's a political argument, not a practical one," Margaret shot back. "And it won't mean a thing if we're dead." Dr. Lila Carter, standing by the door with a medical tablet clutched to her chest, broke her silence. "Captain," she said softly, her calm demeanor belying her concern, "the crew is reaching their breaking point. The conditions are worsening, and Conrad's episode, it's shaken everyone. We need to decide quickly." The argument spiraled further, the storm outside seeming to reflect the turmoil within. Shouts overlapped as tension flared, Sophia siding with Grant, Margaret siding with caution, and Marsh watching it all unfold, his expression unreadable. "Enough." Elias's voice boomed, silencing the room. He leaned on the table that his fingers splayed over the wet surface. "We'll decide soon. For now, we hold course. Dismissed." As the group filed out, the storm's rage pressed closer, shaking the walls of the ship like the roar of some unseen leviathan. In the corridor, Margaret caught Marsh's arm. "You're right," she whispered. "Conrad wasn't just stressed. Something's wrong out here." Marsh nodded, his face grim. "I know, and we need to figure out what, before it gets us all." Before Margaret could respond, a deafening klaxon blared through the corridors, its shrill wail cutting through the ship's metallic groans and the roar of the storm. Red emergency lights began to flash, painting the narrow passageways in a blood-like hue. The crew froze, their eyes wide with alarm. Captain Warren's voice crackled over the intercom, barely audible over the chaos. "All hands, report to stations, we've got—" The message cut off, replaced by static, then silence. Margaret and Marsh exchanged a glance, their unspoken fears mirrored in each other's eyes. The ship lurched violently, as though struck by an unseen force, sending them stumbling into the walls. "Did we hit something?" Margaret gasped, gripping a nearby rail for support. Marsh didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the floor beneath their feet, where a faint, rhythmic thudding began to resonate, like something enormous moving beneath the hull.